have something like that to keep our city beautiful. But we also have a lot of ordinances on the books right now that are not being taken in consideration because we don't have anyone to go out there and ticket or cite the people who are breaking these ordinances. I think it's something that we should look into where we can hire an ordinance officer that would go out and ticket these different people that are breaking these ordinances. And it's not only blight, but there's so many different ordinances. I'm constantly riding around the city, and we have contractors parking their trucks all over. They park them in residential areas and so forth. We have the blight right in on William Street. The neighbors there gave us a petition that they wanted us to go and look at the property there, and we did have the health department go there, but unfortunately the owner is not, we're not able to find the owner. He's doesn't live in Norwalk, and they're unable to locate him. But that's what happens in some of the situations. But I definitely think that we need a blight ordinance, and we need someone to go out there and ticket the people that break the laws. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Shepherd.
Norwalk is one of the very few cities in Connecticut that doesn't actually have an enforceable blight ordinance. I'd like to know why not. If it can be accomplished in other towns, why hasn't Norwalk done it years and years ago? Yes, of course we must be cognizant of people who, through no fault of their own, job loss or that they are elderly and on pensions. We need to be able to help them. I want to know why we don't have somebody going around taking all those stickers off telephone poles and picking up our litter. Until we clear, Norwalk's a wonderful town, but the old girl needs a facelift, and she needs a little bit of care and concern. And why don't we have a litter patrol? Would it really cost us in a city an awful lot? It costs us a lot more when people come off of our highways, see that it looks dreadful, and say, well, I don't want to visit or live or work here. So cleaning up the city, if we want to attract people here and increase our tax base, is absolutely vital. And we need that blight ordinance. And I can't see why it hasn't been done. It can be done with consideration and care for the people who are unable, but we need to be able to put liens on properties that have stood around for years. I live at Ledgewood. As you go into Scribner Avenue, there's a huge blocks of concrete and litter on one side, and the seawall paint place. They've been there for 15, not 15, but they've been there for 6 or 7 years. Nothing's happened to them. I want to know why, and I'll find out.
Thank you, Mr. Romano.
I served on the ordinance committee this past term, and I have to tell you, we do need a blight ordinance. But it has to be uniquely crafted. We can't have a blanket ordinance because we're in very tough economic times. We have people who may not be able to afford to upkeep their homes. Maybe we should get out there and try to find ways of getting them help or getting into a situation where, the neighbors can help them clean up their yards or something like that. My problem is the commercial properties. I really have a problem with them. I get call after call after call after call, year after year, about certain properties in town who actually, they're a health hazard. They bring down the property value, they bring down the businesses around them, and I have to call I always have to call the health department, I always have to call the city about it, and it takes forever to get a hold of these people because they don't live in town, they don't care about the property. All they know is it's a piece of property that they are making money on or when they sell it. They don't care what it looks like. We need to craft our ordinance so that it doesn't affect the people who really can't help what they're doing, as opposed to the ones who really don't care about what Norwalk looks like. Thank you.
Ms. Stewart?
I do not feel that we need a blight ordinance. As a social worker, I feel that each situation should be treated differently. The homes you speak of, the homeowners, have all become victims of social economics due to poverty or poor planning. When I say poor planning, I'm speaking of the people who 15 or 20 years ago worked diligently on their jobs, put money into a 401k plan or a retirement plan, only to find out that the money they put away thinking that they were going to be set for life does not meet up to what it costs for us to live in Norwalk today. Because of that, these are the people who can't replace their shingles, can't put new windows in, can't repair the leaking roofs, and they can't afford to pay someone to come in and cut the grass and do all these other little things. I think if Norwalk really wanted to help everyone that has blighted property, then maybe the city of Norwalk should partner with some of these grassroots organizations and come up with a better plan so that we can go in and help these people. For the commercial buildings, we have a whole lot of homeless people. I don't understand why, since we have city-owned buildings too that are blighted buildings, why we can't do something and come together to figure out a way that we can end homelessness. We have empty buildings. Why not utilize them? Thank you.
Mr. Cavallo?
I'm mindful of the Kelo decision in London when the government decided to step in and condemn properties in order to hold it up for private development. And where are we about 4 or 5 years later? The property hasn't been developed and it itself is not blighted. I would not trust the government with any sense of aesthetics. If it's a matter of aesthetics, I'm not in favor. If it's a matter of public health and safety, I am in favor. And I believe we should distinguish between residential properties and commercial properties. Commercial properties, commercial property owners are probably more able to correct their deficiencies in terms of the blighted condition of their buildings. Residential properties, however, I'm a little skeptical. If it's a cracked in, it's one thing. But if it's a senior citizen who can't afford to cut the grass, who can't afford to paint the front of the house, who's living on Social Security, is in dire means, especially having to deal with property taxes, I'm not in favor of it. And I agree with my partner here next to me in that I think we should involve grassroots organizations, community organizations, to come together to help fix these blighted properties, especially if they are residential.